All right, so I've got more conversation for you. And as you know, I'm Adrienne Lawrence. This time, I am joined by authors and entrepreneurs, Shay and Shab Safar. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, so as I understand, you are the co-founders of Advanced E-Clinical Training and also happen to be proud supporters of the Center for Human Rights in Iran. All right, so how do we get here?
Sure. So within the last 43 years, the women of Iran have faced violence, they've faced brutality and human rights violations, and they're demanding for democracy and change along with basic human rights. And so Shay and I decided to write this op-ed to stand in solidarity with the women of Iran, to show international support and to raise up against oppression of any governments, and especially the government of the current government of Iran, the Islamic Republic regime. So,
yes, and so your experience and your ties to Iran, that's something that stems from your childhood, correct?
Yes. So Shay and I, we were born in Iran, and we immigrated here to the U.S. when we were just 5 years old. So we had the pleasures of growing up here. However, just our mom has had direct ties. She's been affected by the morality police. So what's going on in Iran, she definitely feels direct relations to. So in a way, it does impact us as well. But like I said, we're here. We want to show international support for the women of Iran and what's tragically have been going on due from the current regime. So,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, so we really would like to hone in on what's going on in Iran currently. The protests that we have been seeing are women-led protests with women's rights at the epicenter of these demonstrations. So in the past, we've seen protests surrounding economic hardships, water shortages, and even rigged elections. However, these protests are very different. They were sparked by the death of Mahsa Amini, who was killed under the hands of the morality police due to her headdress being worn too loosely. It is really important to note that this is not a fight against religion, rather against a very oppressive and cruel system of government, the Islamic Republic of Iran. And it is a fight for liberty that transcends gender, class, and religious divides, and a fight for basic human rights that these women and people are fighting for every single day in all 31 provinces of Iran, risking their lives every single day. So we're here to amplify their voices, make sure they're heard, and really condemn it on a global scale and amplify, like I said, their voices.
Yeah, and it seemed like before the midterms, this was something that we were talking about, that they were pushing out on social media. It was definitely a lot of the press and the headlines. But of course, it's the thought of the change in news cycle, and now it's just on to another issue. But the revolt is still going on, isn't it?
Yes, it's very much still ongoing. These women are being faced with serious state security forces being killed at and shot. They're risking their lives. They're risking being beaten, tortured, raped, put into solitary confinement. But we're seeing them show up every single day chanting Zan Zindagi Azadi, women, life, freedom.
Yes, and I would also like to add, we're now seeing massacres against the Kurdish, which are ethnic groups, so the Kurdish ethnic groups of the western region of Iran. And there are being massacres just today, yesterday, against this group of people for just basic protests. So again, weapons are being used against this group. Just yesterday. So ethnically, the regime is targeting ethnic groups. So women, ethnic groups, ethnic religions. So this is a huge problem, and the women and the people of Iran are demanding change, regime change specifically, and it's our duty to show international support and continue to amplify their voices, like Shay just said. So.
Yes, and we had just spoken with Kurdish Iranian Abba Huma, and she had spoken to the fact that the Kurdish people were being abused and mistreated there. And so it seems that they are being targeted specifically. And when it comes to people speaking out, we know that recently at the World Cup 2022, that when they were playing the Iranian national anthem, that the players were not necessarily respecting the flag, so to speak, or how did it go down?
Right. We did see the players decide not to sing the national anthem. They were directly supporting the protesters, and that was a great way for them to show solidarity. We were really happy to see that, and we're really seeing a global effort from the sports teams all the way to all over the world to showing great support, and we really appreciate that. But we want to continue the movement and continue the fight until women and people are free in Iran.
Absolutely. And I also know from what you all had written in the op-ed, it said the fate of Iran will be determined by the fearless women, men, and children who've been standing up to the regime for decades. And that's a really powerful thing because, as you've noted, this started because a woman was unwilling to wear her hijab in a way that the morality police said they approved of, or at least that's what their complaint was. But it seemed to have ignited protests across all ages, all groups, genders, and that's not necessarily something we often see. What is your take on why this has galvanized so many people from different walks of life?
Right, just as you said, we're seeing women, men, children, secular and religious Iranians really stand shoulder to shoulder. They're demanding change. They have been denied 43 years of basic human rights, and they're, like I said, demanding change, and you're seeing them stand side by side in support of one another. It's a beautiful thing we're seeing, and people just want change. They're tired. They're tired of what's been going on, and they just want freedom to be who they want to be in their own right. Right.
Shab, did you want to say something on this?
Sure. I would like to add that the Iranian women have the highest literacy rates in the Middle East, and the highest percentage of STEM graduates compared to the neighboring countries. And this shows how truly extraordinary Iranian women are. And if they were given the chance, they can truly soar to great heights within their own country. So as Shay stated, they are tired, and they're no longer fearful of this current regime, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and they want change and very much deserve change. And we're going to continue to show international support and stand in solidarity with the women in Iran, because we want to see them soar to the heights that their capabilities, and they're tired of their capabilities being restricted for the last 43 years, unfortunately, by this oppressive regime. So.
Absolutely, they should have the opportunities and the access, the things that you all, I would like to think, have had. And speaking of STEM, and co-founding Advanced E-Clinical Training. Can you tell us about your organization?
Sure. Yeah, so we are a healthcare education company. So we are bridging the gap that the healthcare education gap in terms of clinical education that a lot of undergraduate students are facing. So, and yes, as you stated, we had the opportunity of building our company and helping students nationwide and internationally, and we believe that women in Iran could even do more than what we're doing. They're just so smart and so bright. So we want to see them do as we are doing here in America in a free country. So they are very much deserving and very much capable of doing so. So thank you for asking.
Yes, absolutely. It really, I find it to be extremely eye-opening when it comes to, as you mentioned, the literacy rates, as well as it sounds like the educational investment and the professional acumen that is there is something that is being suppressed, yet could truly be revolutionary if women are allowed to contribute to society in ways in which they should be able to. And I would like to argue that the efforts that you have put forward in founding your organization, Advanced E-Clinical Training, that is a reflection of that. And so being able to have those contributions truly elevate and uplift our society. And so I very much commend you for the work that you do, and also for taking this very important stand. And so as you have the opportunity and the audience now to communicate to viewers, listeners, and members of the public, what would you want them to know?
Sure, absolutely. So I would love our viewers and everyone that's watching here tonight to know that the Iranian people, want your international support. Unfortunately, their communication and their ability to talk to the outside world is restricted. They're heavily censored. The government has shut down all communications. So what we can do is we can continue to join in on protests and demonstrations that are being held nationwide, from New York City to Los Angeles. You can follow accounts like Middle East Matters on Instagram to follow on the different protests that are going on. You can also contact your local congressman and really show your support for the people of Iran and for these protests that are going on. And we'd like to add that this Thursday, the United Nations will be holding a special council on the human rights in Iran, and our message is clear: women, life, freedom. So thank you.
Yes, that's fantastic. Thank you both so very much. I appreciate your work. I appreciate everything you're doing. And I hope people do reach out to their congresspeople and also invest in whatever it is in terms of knowledge or uplifting their voice and using their social capital, because we do need meaningful change in Iran, without a doubt. Because again, people are revolutionary. And if they are allowed to live their best life and to be free, there is a damn good chance that they are going to uplift our society and our world in toto. And so I really thank you both for joining us today. And I would love for the viewers to know where they could find out more information about you or follow your work or get involved in the things that you do.
Sure, definitely. Please follow us, Shay Safar on Instagram.
Shab Safar.
Thank you so much for having us and shedding a light on this important matter.
Thank you.
Thank you both. That's Shay and Shab Safar.
Thanks.